here we go. Léon Marchand on Friday, 3 March 2023 at the King County Aquatic Center in Federal Way, Washington State, United States of America. This was the preliminary heats of the 400-yard individual medley. I'm Tanis Leonhardi. This is my YouTube channel, Tanis Leonhardi, and this is an athletic performance contextualization of his race that day. He was in preliminary heat 4. These are my notes of sorts. And so he was in heat 4, land 4. I went and I photographed in person this race. I went for a morning session where I photographed him, Hubert Kos of Hungary, Léon Marchand is of France, and both he and Hubert Kos competed for Arizona State University Sun Devils, Andrei Medikov of Russia, who competed for the Stanford Cardinal, Patrick Callan of the United States of America, who competed for the California Golden Bears, and Zaire Fan of the United States of America, who competed for the Stanford Cardinal. And I got pictures of a few other people, but those were who I photographed and published on Wikimedia Commons. So I took 39 pictures of Léon Marchand and published one. He was, and this was for the 2023 Men's Pac-12 Swimming and Diving Championships. And he achieved a time of 3 minutes 39.05 seconds. And so going into this competition, I'd seen and read about him and written about him and published about him publicly on Wikipedia, and he was, a lot of people kind of called him juvenile or immature in stroke technique for breaststroke. I competed in breaststroke for 12 years, 12 seasons, kind of thing. And I liked him. I have a frog tattoo. Frogs were the first love of my life, and he has very frog feet when he swims the breaststroke. And in some countries, such as Italy, breaststroke is even called rana, which translates to English as frog. So it's meant to look like how he epitomizes the frog nature of the stroke. And so let me see, contextualizing the race. So he was true to form in that sense in the race of what I had experienced before. It was an excellent time. He came out on the pool deck at the beginning or before the start of heat 3, and he had his full warm-ups attire on, and I was like, is that him? Is that him? So I'm photographing the person, and he turns towards me, and it's I see his face. Okay, and he takes the hood off, and he has this beautiful strawberry blonde hair, which I did not realize. The pictures online did not do it justice, kind of. I was like, well, look at that, he's a strawberry blondie. And so there was that, and he gets his goggles on, and then somebody from his team kind of came past and kind of touched his butt, which is kind of as someone who has survived multiple rapes, I don't feel comfortable with that. So I'm internally, I'm don't you look away from him. Just because somebody touched his butt in front of an entire natatorium of people doesn't mean he wants it. And I told him don't you dare turn away from this guy. And because I'm going there, this is my professional career, and again, I don't get to screw my professional career by assaulting this guy. And I was like, and so I'm watching out of my peripheral vision, and Léon Marchand actually confronts this guy, goes back after this guy. I'm like, wow, that guy's brave, Léon Marchand, and talks this guy who just assaulted him down. And I was like, as someone who's been a victim of sexual assault, both rape and otherwise, I'm there's a little bit of admiration from me. Tanis Leonhardi was won by Léon Marchand by doing that. And so he continues, and he takes his clothes off, and he does this thing with his chest or belly, and he inflates himself, and he has this perfect throat where it's not a double chin, it's it goes down like this. And I don't know if you've ever seen a frog, but that's the neck of a frog. And when frogs ribbit, they blow this part up, bottom of their neck kind of to the bottom of their belly, up big, some of them, especially like bullfrogs. And so, and he did that, and I just remember being like, he is a perfect frog. And so he did that. Welcome back! I say hello back! And so he blows himself up like a frog.
I guess sometime she said hello or something, you went and said hello to her. She goes, that was so nice, it meant so much to me. Okay.
Okay. And so he was like a frog, and then he gets behind the block, and he has his little fingers. And I don't know if you've ever seen a frog's little fingers, but some of them got little bulbs on the end of their fingers, and they got really skinny fingers and stuff. And he holds his hands like a little frog. Okay, I was like, he's a frog. There's that, like, frogs were my first love of my life. Like, I got so obsessed. Everything was frogs for me when I was like really little, like, you know, like 3 years old, I think. And then he gets in the water, and he doesn't disappoint. In his time, some people might say he was off in his time. I would say my interpretation of it was after the end of the race, he looked displeased, not with his time, and I wondered if it was related to being assaulted on the pool deck in front of a bunch of people. And he kind of got out of the pool, and he got his clothes, and he kind of like held it very gingerly, like, not to make an allusion to his hair color, but yeah. And kind of like looked uncertain walking back to his section on the pool deck, because the person who assaulted him, attacked him, however one wants to term it, is from the same team. So there's the concern of returning back to the same seating section showed on his face. Okay, and I was like, oh, I'm Spock and I lost my home planet. I have been emotionally compromised. I'm gonna give this guy a big hug. I refrained. But yeah, and so that's the contextualization. Is I got to see him. He lived up to his true frog nature. He's probably the swimmer I've seen that most looks like a frog. And I love frogs, so I love Léon Marchand. Okay, and he fought back as yeah. And then the picture I published on Wikimedia Commons, actually this past Wednesday, 27 December 2023, was published in L'Opinion Indépendante, something like that, which is a French publication. And I'll put the date and title of the publication in the video description. But that's the first time my picture has been published, or any of my pictures of swimmers have been published in a news, be it shoreline area news or otherwise. So first swimmer picture published anywhere, and it's really cool because I live in Washington State, United States of America, planet the original. So my first ever picture published in like a news publication was not even published on the continent on which I live, right? I haven't had any of them published in North America, and it was published in Europe and in France. So that's very cool from my perspective. I also got snatched up by Team Ingebrigtsen, and Jakob Ingebrigtsen is Norwegian, so I guess my YouTube and photographing and all that kind of stuff, it would appear in writing is more desirable to Europeans than it is Americans. Should I move to Europe? He's invited, by the way, Léon Marchand, to my Who Am I wedding, especially and specifically in my hypothetical My Who Am I wedding. Dominique Sabosly can have up to 4 + 1s, and I can as well. The wedding guests, in the case of my Sabosly my wedding, Léon Marchand is my Dominique Sabosly's number 1 + 1. He's invited. It'd be very cool if he joined us. He can even live with us. Dominique says it's okay. My Dominique Sabosly says it's okay that Leon couldn't live with us. And then anything else? So he qualified for the evening final with his time in the preliminary heat, and I was actually standing in his team section, so Arizona State University Sun Devils, and I was very proud that I chose to stand in that section at the time of the assault and following it, because I was like, you got support from me, if nobody else, and I'm in your section, even though you're my affiliation. Right. And I had put online in advance, I put a notice, right, that I was going to photograph him. He was one of the ones that I named as somebody was intending to photograph. So he might have looked very frog that day for me, because I think I also had on my user page on Wikipedia that I had a frog tattoo and stuff, and had a YouTube video about it and stuff. So he's like, he might have actually looked at that and been like, gotta make sure to look like a frog. She'll like that, and I did like it. So if you're seeing this, Léon Marchand, thank you. You are perfect. Okay, so that's my athletic performance contextualization, my take / perspective on the Léon Marchand 400-yard individual medley, 3 March 2023. I'm Tanis Leonhardi. This is my YouTube channel, Tanis Leonhardi, and I'm filming this Monday, 1 January 2024.